Something happens to you when you leave this town. The farther away, the hazier it all gets. But me, I never left. I remember all of it.
To the losers.
We made an oath.
Swear? If it isn't dead, if it ever comes back, we'll come back to it.
We didn't stop it.
Pennywise.
The clown. We can't let it happen again.
Hello?
Kid! Kid! Hello. Please.
For 27 years, I dreamt of you. I craved you. I've missed you.
We need to finish it. For good.
I've seen all of us die. It consumes us from the inside until we don't have a choice anymore.
You lied. And I died. You lied. And I died.
Happy Comic-Con week, everybody. So they dropped a new trailer for It Chapter 2 to give you nightmares for the rest of the week. As long as you don't fall asleep, Pennywise can't get you. Joke's on them, it's Comic-Con week. Nobody sleeps during Comic-Con week, so you should all be safe. We'll break all these Easter eggs down. This is right out of the books. They added a couple really big scenes that I'll explain that were not in the books, but it's about 90% adaptation from Stephen King's original book. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the Comic-Con videos. We're doing giveaways all week long. There's going to be way more big trailers coming this weekend. But we start off with the reunion of the Losers Club. James McAvoy playing Bill, Jessica Chastain playing Beverly, Bill Hader playing Richie, Jay Ryan playing Ben. Remember, he's the one that wrote the love letter to Beverly for which Bill got credit. We saw the letter when she went back to her childhood home and she runs into Mrs. Kirsch and it turns into this big Pennywise hallucination. You'd think that he might get credit for that in present day, like, oh no, you're the one that sent the letter, but nope, as you can see from the trailer, Beverly and Bill totally pick up where they left off. When the story begins, because this is happening 27 years later, they all live in different cities and they didn't wind up getting together, so both Beverly and Bill are in different relationships at the beginning of the story. Nobody really keeps in touch that much. Mike, the person who has the dialogue at the beginning of the trailer, is the person that has to call them back to fulfill their oath and has to remind them about what happened. There's this weird proximity effect as part of Pennywise's power. The further away from his lair in Derry that you travel and the longer time goes by, the more you forget. So most of the Losers Club has forgotten the events of the first film, except for Mike, who stayed in Derry and tells them everything that happened so that it all comes rushing back. So a lot of that happens really early in the film, where they're like, what is it we did? Why did we make this oath? What was this all about? The actual first time that they meet back up is that restaurant scene that they sort of break up in different parts during the trailer, where Pennywise starts taunting them. They showed off 3 really long scenes at Comic-Con. 2 of them are brand new scenes that did not appear in the book, but the restaurant scene is right off the page. This happened exactly the same way in the book. The 2 big scenes that did not appear in the books are the ones where they go back to the haunted house from the first film. I'll talk about that in a second because there's a whole bunch of footage from that later in the trailer, and one of the big carnival scenes with Bill trying to chase down the little kid and save him. But you get that Mike voiceover talking about remembering everything, and they start to intercut with scenes from the first film with Bill and Beverly being together. Their story in present day, when you actually see them for the first time, is interesting. because it's all about the cycle repeating this second film. Like, things are not over. We're going to have to replay the events of the first film, albeit with a couple big changes. And as part of that idea, a lot of the problems that they suffered from, the personal problems and the battles that they were facing, like Beverly trying to deal with her abusive father, also carry forward into present day, and a lot of them are having the same types of problems. So Beverly, in an abusive relationship as a little kid, has gotten herself into another abusive relationship as an adult. Like, you see all these bruises all over her arm. It's just another sign that she hasn't been able to escape her past. Like the Losers Club has not been able to escape Pennywise. As Mike's narration continues, you go downtown, you see the walls covered, plastered with missing posters of little children. If you zoom in, you can see Georgie's face on one of the posters here. Bill goes back to his childhood home, just like Beverly went back to her childhood home. He has a very similar type of hallucination where he sees the same drain with what looks like Georgie's arms sticking out. The reason that happens is because everyone that Pennywise captures is destined to be his servant for all time. So until they finally defeat Pennywise, anyone that he's fully consumed is free to come back and torment any of the Losers Club. Remember, the reason why they couldn't save Georgie at the end of the first film, even though they were able to injure Pennywise, is because too much time had gone by and Pennywise had already fully consumed Georgie. So there was no more body left to be saved, like the ones that were hanging in his thrall, waiting to finish being consumed by Pennywise, because he sort of consumes them psychically and then consumes them physically to gain their sustenance. We'll explain the physics of Pennywise in a second too, because it's critical to how they defeat him during the movie. There's a shot of the sewers from the first film that they all eventually have to go back to. The water coming around the corner reminds you of the elevator scene from The Shining, also a very famous Stephen King story that was turned into a movie. Stanley Kubrick actually changed the end of that with the hedge maze. Stephen King famously hated the movie, but in present day, he actually really liked the last adaptation of the It movie. So in his old age, he's much happier about the way Hollywood is treating his material now, as opposed to when they were doing it back during the 70s. So it sort of led to this even broader Stephen King renaissance where Hollywood is just rushing to adapt his material. Amazon is working on a Dark Tower TV series. They're still doing Castle Rock. Someone is getting ready to remake The Stand as a new TV series. They've been announcing the cast for that. And then a couple other big projects, but they're also making a sequel to The Shining, or they made one with Ewan McGregor playing the little boy who's now an adult. So it is a really good time to be a big Stephen King fan. I'll do some Dark Tower episode videos when that eventually drops, but I think it's going to be a year or two before we actually see that TV series. The sewer water scene transitions to a different scene outside of a man from the beginning of the movie who gets pushed off a bridge. During this big balloon scene where you see all these balloons coming up the bridge, this is when Pennywise comes back for the first time in the movie. This is probably from the very, very beginning of the film. There's some rednecks committing a hate crime during the festival. They throw this guy off the bridge. He lands in the water and starts splashing around, yelling for help. But look, right there is Pennywise to snatch him. He disappears with everyone on top of the bridge, assuming that he drowned. And that's the sign that Pennywise has returned, where all the Losers Club starts hallucinating him. You see them in present day go back to the same area near the sewer exit from the end of the first film where they made the pact, standing promising to return if he ever came back, which they intercut with the restaurant reunion scene, which I said is the first time that they actually come back after they've all answered the call. Like, oh, hey, we haven't seen each other in 27 years. What was it that we did so long ago? And then Mike has to remind them of everything. But you notice there's 7 chairs and there's only 6 of them sitting around the table. That's because Stanley is the only member of the group of the Losers Club that does not answer the call to come back when they hear Pennywise's returned. He's played by Andy Bean from the Swamp Thing TV show, the now canceled Swamp Thing TV show. So when he gets the call that Pennywise has come back, he's living this normal, happy life. He has a successful business. He has a wife that he loves very much. But when he finds out, he calmly and quietly goes to the bathroom and carves Pennywise's name into his wrist in the bathtub, killing himself. That's where you see the "It" written in blood on the wall here. So he's dead before they ever come back to Derry, but he does reappear in a scene that they showed off at Comic-Con that I'll explain in a second. They transition from them sitting in the circle around the table to them standing in the circle as children, making the pact. This is actually critical to them defeating Pennywise, performing the ritual of Chewed from the books. We actually saw footage of that in the last trailer, and you see it again in this trailer with them standing in the circle, entering his dimension, where you see like all this stuff flying around them. That's them between dimensions going to the place where Pennywise originally came from. It's sort of this interdimensional space in the Stephen King universe going by Dark Tower mythology. If you've never read the Dark Tower series, it's sort of this multiverse story that Stephen King tells that ties together elements of all of his other stories. So the story of Pennywise, the Losers Club, is connected to the stuff that's happening in the Dark Tower universe, which is connected to Cujo, Christine, The Stand, every other story, The Shining, that Stephen King has done. But then you get the carnival scene of Bill trying to save that young boy, who he sort of imprints as a second coming of Georgie. Like I said, Beverly goes back to her childhood home. Bill goes back to his childhood home. They have a very similar basement scene where it floods up and he starts hallucinating Georgie, who's now become Pennywise's servant. But the little boy lives there with his family, so when he sees him later at the carnival, he tries to save them. He chases him down, but they wind up in the funhouse with all these creepy-looking clowns. As you would expect, there's a mirror maze that Pennywise then manipulates, tormenting Bill that he can't save this little kid, and you get his tongue sticking out in this really creepy scene. That was one of the scenes they showed off at Comic-Con that did not appear in the books. But then you see them going back to the entrance to the sewers, you start to get Pennywise's narration telling them how pissed off he is. So Pennywise comes back, and he has been so mad for the last 27 years that they were almost able to defeat him. Then you get the other brand new scene that did not appear in the books of them coming back to the haunted house in present day, intercut with them at the house in the past. So this is more of them starting to remember the events of the first film, because at the beginning of the story, they've still forgotten everything. You then see an adult Henry Bowers, the psychopath from the first film, at a mental hospital as he also recognized Pennywise's red balloon going by that he's returned. Remember, Pennywise brainwashed him in the first film to become his agent to try and stop the Losers Club from coming to Pennywise's lair in the sewers. So now that the Losers Club has come back in present day, Pennywise reactivates, so to speak, Henry, helps him escape from the mental prison, and then they have to face Henry Bowers in present day again. There's a whole bunch of footage of them in the haunted house. I love the scene of the three doors, which is a nice wink at the one from the first film. Not scary at all, scary and very scary. Spoiler warning, they're all scary. Anytime you see doors like this in a creepy haunted house, anything behind them is going to be scary. The scene of the fridge shaking, very obviously something that Pennywise is getting ready to reveal, was one of the longer scenes they showed off at Comic-Con. During this scene, the fridge opens to reveal their dead friend Stanley that killed himself at the beginning of the film. It's all part of Pennywise's manipulations, just messing with them. There's the scene of the Paul Bunyan statue with Pennywise floating over it, completely freaking Richie out. That's right out of the book. In the book, the statue actually comes to life and takes a swipe at him with its giant axe. They repeat all those scenes from the last trailer with Beverly going back to her childhood home she lived in with her abusive father, now occupied by Mrs. Kirsch, who winds up being Pennywise, totally messing with her. There's a really creepy scene of Beverly getting trapped in the bathroom and the bathtub completely filling, trying to drown her with blood. All these scenes towards the end of the trailer of them going back to Pennywise's lair is from towards the end of the film. You see them step into his actual lair. That's the barrier where they transition to his dimension. Then they end the trailer on this very cool scene of Pennywise appearing to them almost physically like he's transitioning out of a painting, like he's a person transitioning into Pennywise. But let me know in the comments what's your favorite part of the trailer and any Easter eggs that I did not mention in the video. Like I said, about 90% of this and their big action scenes are right off of the page with a couple big additions. But I'll be doing Comic-Con videos all weekend. We have The Witcher trailer, Rick and Morty Season 4, a whole bunch of stuff coming tomorrow, and then Saturday is the big Marvel panel with Marvel Phase 4 stuff and a bunch of DC stuff. So as long as you have alerts enabled for my channel, you'll see the videos when I post them, and I'll name a giveaway winner when I post my next video. Click here for that brand new Thor 4 teaser, and click here for that brand new Avengers Endgame deleted scenes video. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight. We all float at Comic-Con.